with all the attention on Justin Herbert, and rightfully so, going into last night because he's a dynamite player who we were wondering is going to be, if he's hitting the rookie wall. I mean, that's one of the things that I mentioned with Rich Gannon yesterday is this is, he comes in week 12. This is now week 15. You throw in a bye week. This is around the number of starts that he would have had for a full season before he's off for his bowl game when he was at Oregon. And maybe he's hitting the old wall because the Patriots took care of business against him 45-0. And now, the Chargers taking on the Vegas Raiders last night after they bounced back with a win at home against the old Atlanta Falcons, and we'll see what happens. And he showed up dynamite last night. My God, is he just so good?
He's great.
He is so very good. And Keenan Allen was half of it. He was a Keenan.
Yeah.
He was a key. He was like a quarter of a Keenan Allen.
Exactly.
And Mike Williams made one catch and disappeared. And there was a bunch of guys that needed name tags for all of us to know. And he's finding them all. And he is just dynamite, man. He's making throws, and he's one tough hombre. But this is 2020, and you can never expect, the expected most of the time. And who would have thought that this would be an Oregon Duck quarterback festival? That's what it turned into last night. The two most decorated Oregon Duck quarterbacks of the last, what would you say, quarter century, Chris? Right?
Yeah, easily.
Here they go. Mariota, and he looked tremendous. And one of his first throw, I think, was on the run to find, was it Foster Moreau, tiptoeing the sideline about 20 yards down the field, but perfect throw that only he could collect. And sure enough, in a back-and-forth game, here's Marcus Mariota marching down the field with 4 minutes to go, 3 minutes to go. Right before 2-minute warning, Joe Buck's going into what we're all thinking at home. And this is what you do as a broadcaster. You set the table. You talk about journeys traveled that is just about to culminate in a victory that nobody saw coming because nobody thought he'd be in the game. And Marcus Mariota talking about how he got to the Raiders. And, I mean, for a guy who literally had not taken a significant series of snaps all year long. Like, you could say last night's series of snaps was the most significant series of snaps he had in the game before he was benched for Ryan Tannehill last year. And he had the spidey sense going. He knew where people were right behind his helmet, and he's getting rid of the ball, and he's making slide steps, and he's running with it, and he's throwing with it, and Joe's setting the stage for it, and he throws one right behind Zay Jones, right in the hands of Rich Eisen Show favorite Chris Harris, who goes the other direction, 50 more yards. And, now suddenly the Chargers have the game-winning kick on their side. The problem with that is they're the Chargers, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what's on the hat, San Diego or Los Angeles. They're still the Chargers there, and nothing's more consistent. Nothing's more expected in the year that I mentioned is the time to rarely expect the expected. Nothing's more like lock stamped right there for you as the expected. Quite like the stepping on their own Johnson special teams of the San Diego / Los Angeles Chargers. I mean, literally. It right on cue, missing his second field goal of the game, Michael Badgley coming on out. And so this opportunity, golden opportunity presented to the Los Angeles Chargers with enough time on the clock for the Raiders to march down the field. And instead of throwing a Hail Mary, going for a 65-yard field goal that hardly ever got off the ground, because of a botched snap and all of that, and just jumping on a loose ball to end regulation. Honestly, the worst finishing act I've ever seen in Las Vegas since Florence Henderson came out for one more song to close up for George Burns at Caesar's Palace when my brother and I and my sister-in-law all watched that unfold in front of us. Hey, man, that offense was beginning to churn it out last night. As a matter of fact, they had the longest drive in 13 years and a day, and I pointed out on Twitter that the single possession, time of possession drought for the Raiders had just been bar mitzvahed. And they were they got the ball, and I mean,
they look great, but score a touchdown, end the game.
I guess you can't blame Gruden for on fourth down kicking it because you've left Only because at one point they even said, God bless it, they even said, was it Aikman who said as the time was ticking down when the Raiders got inside the 5-yard line and the 2 timeouts remaining for the Chargers, they're like, they're going to call a timeout here, right? You call a timeout here, right? That's what Aikman says. And they cut to Anthony Lynn, who's looking up at the clock. And then finally going, yeah, timeout. Like, it's as if somebody got in his ear, like, Troy Aikman says you should take the timeout. Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Which is unfair to Anthony Lynn. But, I mean, the clock matters. The inside the 10-yard line play calls on offense and then the clock management in the last 2 minutes have just been a brutal watch for the Chargers all season long, which is why they're 5-9. You know. But, you know, you can't blame Gruden. You got to put the 3 on the board because if, at least with the 3 on the board, you've got a chance to win because you don't think you're going to get the ball back. So if you don't score any points right there, that means the best you're going to do is a tie or lose. And a tie, it would have hobbled the Raiders almost as badly as the loss they eventually got.
So just go for the win. It's 4th and 6 feet.
I know, but if you don't get it, what happens?
Then they have the ball at the 1-yard line.
And you call your timeouts, and you get it back, you kick 3.
Yeah, you blitz like crazy and try to get a safety.
Or you just play defense, and then you get the ball back with good field position, and Daniel Carlson runs it anyway.
Yeah, I don't understand
I guess
kicking it. It's just...
Well, I mean, and inevitably, you know, here goes... I assume that's what Gruden's mindset was. And here comes Justin Herbert, 53-yard pass downfield.
But you saw how great he'd been playing. I don't know why you want to give him the ball back with the chance to win the game.
And I even tweeted out towards the end of regulation that this is winding up to be the most Chargers finish ever, and it damn near almost was. You remember last year they lost in Tennessee because a couple of touchdowns that were ruled touchdowns were – after further review, ruled down at the half-yard line anyway, and then Melvin Gordon fumbled it, and they lost in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yep.
What if, in overtime, the Justin Herbert sneak that wound up being fumbled into the end zone but pulled back into the field of play because in the last 2 minutes, you cannot recover somebody else's fumble?
Yeah, only the person who fumbled can recover.
That's the old holy roller play. The NFL ruled that that famed holy roller play never to be seen again. What if the Raiders had recovered that? That would have ended the game.
Yeah,
because the Raiders got the 3 points.
Yeah, game over.
So close to being literally the worst Chargers finish I've ever seen, and that's saying a lot. But we do come out of this thinking about how terrific Justin Herbert is. And we do come out of this officially, in my mind, I know there's still time left, fork sticking a team that I thought was going to make the playoffs all year long. I thought the Raiders were a playoff team all year long. I thought that this team had the guys up front and the horse and Josh Jacobs and the quarterback that was not making mistakes and the wide receivers that could provide enough downfield presence. Third and Renfro, you got somebody who could move the sticks. You had Max Crosby who could rush the passer. You had Jonathan Abram who could thump from the back end. I thought you had a playoff team. And when they were 6-3, I firmly believed it. Did not see a 1-4 stretch from 6-3 coming. Could have easily be, they could easily be right now, instead of 7-7 after a 1-4 stretch, they could easily be 6-8. They could easily lost 5 in a row if not for the Hail Mary in New York.
What happened?
Well, what happened was a lot of injuries. Trent Brown went out. And then inexplicably, Carr started making mistakes. That game in Atlanta was a canary in the coal mine. The Jets was another one. And then, you're losing close games like last night. I thought Mariota was going to be the hero of the night and an attaboy for Justin Herbert. Instead, Herbert is like now the guy that Bradshaw said on the postgame show last night, an Elway type guy. Marino. He's that good. Chargers found their guy. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.